Hey guys, welcome back. How you guys doing today? We are back in my garage for another tutorial video tonight. And this tutorial video or how-to video is going to be on how to build the V8 engine in my garage. We've done tutorial videos on all the other engines, all the base engines that my garage has to offer. Now the last one here is the V8 engine. Now we have not gone over the two motorcycle engines, and I'm not sure if I will ever do a tutorial on the motorcycle engine builds. But that's that's you know, a lot of people don't even mess with the motorcycle, so to me it's just it doesn't really seem to be worth it. So that's really my reasoning in it. But if you guys, want to see tutorial videos on the motorcycle engines, let me know. I'll put something together. I don't really know the best how to put the motorcycle engines together because I haven't messed with the motorcycles a lot in this game, probably like most people. They've messed with them a couple times and that's about it. But yeah, let me know. I'll try to throw something together for you guys on the motorcycle engines. But let's get to it. This is why we're here. The V8 engine. Right in front of me. Right down into this nice Chevelle, or as in game, it's called the Jason. But this is the V8 as it looks, sitting inside a vehicle. Right inside that big old engine bay. This is what it looks like outside a vehicle. And these are all the parts that you will need to build your V8 engine. You have your air filters and your exhaust manifolds down here at the bottom. Ran out of room on the tables. Before we get started and I show you guys in the catalog what parts you need to build the V8 engine, we're going to take a little sleep. I should have did this before I started the video, but me, I never think ahead. Okay, so there we are. It gives us some nice light. We're in the afternoon. Now let's cruise on through here to the office and I will show you guys in the catalog what parts you need to build the V8 engine. Okay. So, let's go here. Remember, you're going to need your fuel line. You always need a fuel line. If you don't use a fuel line, your engine will never start. So don't forget about your fuel line. Okay, actually, let's separate some of these. Like we have a Jason out there. Let's go do that. It's going to be much easier instead of it bringing up all kind of parts for all kind of different vehicles. So, these are going to be the parts you need for the V8 engine. Let's go. Air filter housing, air filter lid, alternator belt, alternator, camshaft sprocket, carburetor, clutch plate, clutch pressure plate, crankshaft, crankshaft pulley, crankshaft sprocket, your block 5.6 V8. Scroll on down here. You're going to need a cylinder head cover L, a cylinder head cover R, cylinder head L, cylinder head R, distributor, exhaust manifold L, exhaust manifold R, flywheel, fuel pump, harmonic balancer, head gaskets. You'll need 2 of these. Don't forget your head gaskets. Your engine will overheat, and then basically it'll cook itself. And that freshly new engine you just built, well, you're going to have to rebuild. Ignition coil, intake manifold, oil filter, oil pan, piston. You're going to need 8 pistons. 8. Rockers, you're going to need 2 rockers. Spark plug wires. You're going to need this starter for the V8. thermostat housing, timing chain, timing cover, engine fan, water pump, camshaft, and that is it. That brings you down into your performance parts and everything. We will go over some performance parts or HP parts after we build this V8 engine. So, yeah, not too hard, guys. It's actually fairly easy. And I would say the V8 is the most common used engine in the game. In my opinion, but I could be wrong. So, yep, these are all the parts, like we said. Pick up our ratchet. And now, pick up your Block 56 V8 and install it on the engine stand. Or however you're going to assemble your engine. You do not have to do it on an engine stand. I just choose to because it's easier. Now, you want to go over and grab your crankshaft. Take your crankshaft and install it inside your block and bolt your crankshaft down. And once you have your crankshaft bolted down, come over here and grab some pistons. There will be 2 bolts to bolt down on each piston. All right, 2 more left. All right, once you have all your pistons tightened down, come over here, and I like to grab my camshaft and install your camshaft. It just snaps into place. There's no bolts for it. Come over here and grab your camshaft sprocket. Install that. Tighten that down 1 bolt. And then grab your camshaft sprocket, your other one, and put right there. It just snaps into place. No bolts on it. Now, come over here, grab your oil pan so we can seal up the bottom end of the engine. No bolts on the front or the back of the oil pan, just on the sides. Alright. Let's move this right side up. Now, what I usually do is now I'll put on the timing chain. You'll actually have to put down your wrench. Install your timing chain on there. Take your wrench back up and grab your timing cover. Let's close the front of this engine up. There's 4 bolts for the timing cover. Okay, now you can either continue assembling the front of your engine, or you can now install your head gaskets and then your heads, your cylinder heads. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's grab head gasket, the other head gasket, and then grab our heads. Now you can do one side and bolt it down and then move to the other, or you can do it just like how I did it. It's up to you. And we'll move around to the other side and tighten down this head. Now, next step, you want to grab your rockers, which are right here. You're going to install those on top of your cylinder heads. Five bolts there, and then let's grab our other rocker and do the same thing on the opposite side. Okay, now we can close up the top end here on the heads and install our cylinder head covers. This one goes here. 3 bolts on the outside, and then there's going to be 2 bolts on the inside. Grab our other cylinder head cover L. Bolts to the opposite side. And then 2 bolts on the inside. There you go. Now, let's grab our flywheel and install our flywheel on the back of the engine. There will be 6 bolts, as usual, for the flywheel. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and number 6. Grab your clutch plate, install that onto your flywheel. Just snaps in place, there's no bolts. Now grab your clutch pressure plate. This is going to have 6 bolts to tighten down. 1, 2, 3. I think we tightened one underneath. Yeah, we did. That was number 4. Number 5. And number 6. There you go. Now let's move back to the front of the engine. And this is usually how I install an engine most of the time. Sometimes I'll decide to install the stuff on the front of the engine before I get to the heads or the flywheel and clutch and that. It just depends. It just depends what I really feel like on how to assemble an engine. Now grab your water pump. This guy right here. I think it's easier to install the water pump before your harmonic balancer and your crankshaft pulley, because this has 5 bolts. And there's a few bolts, or a couple bolts, underneath here that you have to get to. There's 1, and there's the 2 underneath. And that makes a total of 5 bolts, if I can get unstuck there from the engine stand. Because if you put on your harmonic balancer, and there's 1 bolt to tighten down the harmonic balancer, it kind of gets in the way of those 2 bolts underneath the water pump. Especially if you put your crankshaft pulley on and tighten your crankshaft pulley down, and it has those 3 bolts. Once you put your pulley on, tighten those down. Those bolts can be a little hard to get to sometimes. So that's why I recommend putting the water pump on first. Now, let's grab our fan and install our fan on the front of our engine. 4 bolts to tack down the fan. Let's grab our oil filter. It's probably a good time to put on. You can install your oil filter at any time. It just snaps in place, no bolts or anything. Let's grab our fuel pump next and install it right here onto the engine. 2 bolts on each side of the fuel pump. Let's grab our alternator now. Installs right in front of the fuel pump. Or kind of above in the front of the fuel pump, if you want to call it. Okay, there's 2 bolts for the alternator right here and right here, and you're good to go. These bolts are already there. They don't need tightened or loosened. Put our wrench down for a minute, grab our alternator belt. We can install that on now. Now our alternator belt is on and installed. Now let's move to the top of the engine and grab our intake manifold. And we will install that on top of our engine. There's multiple bolts to tighten down the intake. Let's move around to the other side. This side has a couple more bolts or another bolt extra than the other side. And then don't forget this one in the front. Now let's grab our thermostat over here on the table. Thermostat housing. And then we will install this right here on top of our intake. 2 bolts to tighten down the thermostat. Now let's grab our ignition coil. and install on the back of our engine. It installs right there, and there is 2 bolts for our ignition coil, 1 and 2. Now let's go over here and grab our distributor, and it goes right next to your ignition coil, but there's only 1 bolt for the distributor. Now let's grab our carburetor and install our carburetor on top of our intake. There's going to be 4 bolts to tighten down your carburetor. Okay, that's 4 bolts. Now at this point would probably be a good time before we move any further. Make sure you grab your spark plugs, because you will need spark plugs. You're going to need 8, so you're going to need 2 boxes of spark plugs. Let's drop those 4 out. And let's install our spark plugs. Actually, before I install them, so you guys can see what we're doing here, your spark plugs install into these holes here. There's 4 on each side. And then you're going to need to grab your spark plug wrench and tighten these guys down. So let's get down here and grab our spark plug wrench. And let's tighten these guys up. That's 4. Drop this over here, and let's grab our other box of spark plugs. Drop them on the ground. Throw our empty box on the table. We're just repeating what we just did on the other side of the engine. And then tighten these down with your spark plug wrench. There you go. Now your spark plugs are all tightened down. Now we can go over here and grab our ignition wires. You have to have your wrench out of your hand to grab your ignition wires, or you won't be able to pick them up. Now we can install this on top of the distributor, and the wires run from the distributor to your spark plugs. There you go. All right. Now we can install our air filter on top of our engine. So grab your air filter housing down here. Install it on top of your engine. Let's move our engine this way so we can see the bolts. There will be 2 bolts to tighten down the air filter housing. Let's grab our air filter now. Install the air filter inside the air filter housing. And then we'll grab our air filter lid. There is 1 bolt to tighten down the air filter lid. There you go. Now it's time to install our headers, our exhaust manifolds. This one goes on the right, which is over here. Tack down the bolts here. There's 6 total bolts for the exhaust manifold. And then we'll grab our other exhaust manifold for the other side of the engine. 6 bolts for this side also. Put down our wrench. And there you go, guys. We have just successfully assembled a V8 base engine in my garage. Not too hard, right? All right. So when you install your engine in the car and you put your fuel line in, your fuel line, the end of the fuel line, you will need to tighten 1 bolt up to your fuel pump, which is right here. And it will bolt in somewhere about right in this area, and you just tighten that bolt right there. Make sure you do that or your engine will not start. Like here, I'll show you in the car here. This is the fuel line running from back here. And if I'll show you guys, if I can get down in here a little better for you guys. That wire runs, or that fuel line runs right in here. Right into there, and that bolt is right there. So there you go. That's where you tighten and loosen that bolt. So, all right, let's go into the catalog real quick and show you some of the performance or HP parts that can be exchanged with the base V8 parts. So let's scroll down again. And this right here starts some of the performance parts. There's quite a bit of performance or HP parts for the V8 engine. More than any other engine in this game. Which would be this intake manifold here would be a performance intake. It's different than the one we installed on the car. The one we installed on the car is this orange one right here. This one is this one. And then the air filter 6-barrel, that's a performance part. Air filter housing 6-barrel, another one. These two go together if you want to do a 6-barrel air filter. And this is the air filter 6-barrel lid for that set. And then you have your performance air filter housing and your air filter. These three parts, the air filter performance, the air filter lid performance, and the air filter performance, these three parts here all go together if you want to use those. You got your carburetor 6-barrel. That's a carburetor that you would use for your air filter 6-barrel stuff. Your performance carburetor, this guy here. Your performance cover heads, your cylinder head covers, left and right. You have cylinder head performance cylinder heads. Your intake manifold 6-barrel. You would use this carburetor 6-barrel on your intake 6-barrel, and you would use the air filter 6-barrel and these 6-barrel parts of the air filter stuff along with that. Now you have an air filter blower. Your blower and your blower belt, your blower scoop, your blower intake, your blower pulley blower. Okay? All those can also be used too to put a blower on your car. Your carburetor blower, that's the carburetor you're going to want to use for this set. What you would do is, for that intake that we installed on our engine out there that we just built, you would swap that intake for this one, and then bolt this blower on top of that intake, and then from there you would bolt the carburetor blower on top of this blower. Okay, so this would be bolted down first, and then the blower would be bolted onto the intake, and then this carburetor blower would be bolted on top of this blower. Okay? And then from there, you put your air filter blower on top of that, bolt that down onto your carburetor blower, and then you can put your blower scoop on top of there. And then your blower belt would go to all this, and instead of the crankshaft pulley that we installed on the harmonic balancer, you would swap that out and put this crankshaft pulley blower there. Hopefully you guys are following along. These are just smaller air filter housing lid and air filter you can use. This one, the small one, was used like on the 3.5 i6 that we assembled in that one video. This is just a smaller one. Spark plug wires HP, you can use these for your HP spark plug wires. Your rockers HP, your pistons HP, your distributor HP, crankshaft HP, camshaft HP. And those get, anything down here that you just saw is modded parts, so you wouldn't have those. So don't worry about those. But yeah, this V8 engine has quite a bit of performance parts to it. So there's a lot more customization with the V8 engine than any other engine in the game, in my opinion. You know, you do have, like, for the the i6, you do have the turbos and stuff like that, but, this stuff is going to produce more power than one of those i6 turbos is going to do, or i6 diesel turbo. This is going to produce more power than that could ever dream of. So, yeah, guys, The V8 is pretty cool in this game. There's a lot more you can do with it and a lot more customization. So, just play with it and see what you come up with, And take it over to town and get it dynoed and see what kind of horsepower you can get out of it, right? So, all right, guys. Well, that was a little bit more to go over with this V8 because of some of the extra HP parts or performance parts. So, yeah, guys, that's going to do it. If you like this tutorial or how-to video, please leave it a like. If you have any comments or anything, let me know down below. Leave them down below. I'll try to answer them for you. If you like my content, like my channel, consider subscribing to me. All your support is greatly appreciated. So until next time, guys, we'll see you later.